The crimson sands of Xerion Prime stretched endlessly beneath twin suns, their heat creating shimmering mirages that danced across the wasteland. Captain Sarah Chen adjusted her environmental suit's cooling system and checked her weapons charge, for the third time in 10 minutes. She wasn't nervous. Nervousness was a luxury she couldn't afford on a planet where everything wanted to kill you. The Cathera hunting pack had been tracking her for 6 standard hours. She could feel their presence like electricity in the air, their predatory instincts honed across millennia of evolution. On their homeworld of Vextar, they were apex predators, 7-foot-tall reptilian hunters with razor-sharp claws, thermal vision, and pack coordination that made Earth's wolves look like house cats. Sarah had stumbled into their territory while investigating the crash site of a missing research vessel. The diplomatic mission to establish trade relations with the Cathera Confederacy had gone sideways when her shuttle's navigation system failed during a solar storm. Now she was stranded on their sacred hunting grounds where trespassers were traditionally hunted for sport. The pack leader, Vexthak the Bloodclaw, emerged from behind a crystalline formation 50 meters away. His scales rippled with bioluminescent patterns that spoke of countless victories, and his eyes glowed amber in the harsh sunlight. Behind him, 4 other hunters materialized from the landscape like living shadows. Human, Vexthak's voice rumbled through his translator, the device struggling with the guttural undertones of his species' language. You walk on sacred sand. You breathe our air. By ancient law, you must face the trial of fangs. Sarah planted her feet firmly and faced the pack leader. She'd studied Cathera culture during the diplomatic briefings. She knew this was both a death sentence and an opportunity. The trial of fangs was single combat, predator against predator, with the winner claiming dominance over the loser's territory and life. I accept your challenge, she replied, her voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. But I request clarification of terms. Single combat, no weapons beyond what nature provided? Vexthak's head tilted, a gesture that might have been amusement or confusion. You misunderstand, Softskin. Humans have no natural weapons, no claws, no fangs, no armor. This trial will be your death. Then you don't know humans very well. The other hunters hissed and clicked among themselves, their excitement palpable. Sarah could see the hunger in their eyes. They expected easy prey, a quick kill to add to their trophy collections. Vexthak raised his clawed hands, each finger ending in a curved talon that could slice through steel. Very well. When the third sun reaches zenith, we begin. Prepare yourself, human. Sarah nodded and walked backward to a clear patch of sand, her mind racing through possibilities. She couldn't match their speed, strength, or natural weaponry. But humans had something else. Something that had carried them from the caves of Earth to the stars themselves. As the alien sun climbed higher, Sarah began to move. She didn't run or hide. Instead, she started gathering materials from the hostile landscape. Sharp stones, tough plant fibers, a broken piece of crystalline rock with edges like glass. The Cathara watched with growing confusion as she worked with methodical precision. What is the human doing? One of the younger hunters whispered. Unknown, Vexthak replied, but his voice carried a note of unease. When the sun reached its zenith, Sarah stood ready. She'd woven the plant fibers into a crude but effective sling, loaded with perfectly sized stones. The crystalline shard was lashed to a length of fibrous root, creating a makeshift spear. Most importantly, she'd observed the wind patterns, the angle of the light, and the terrain features that could work to her advantage. Begin, Vexthak roared, and the trial commenced. The pack leader charged with frightening speed, his claws extended and ready to tear flesh. Sarah didn't meet his charge. Instead, she used her sling to send a stone flying at his feet, sending up a cloud of sand that disrupted his thermal vision. As he stumbled, she rolled aside and struck his ankle with her improvised spear. Vexthak roared in pain and surprise, spinning to face her. A thin line of purple blood ran down his scaled leg. It was barely a scratch, but it was something no prey had ever accomplished. Impossible, he snarled. You have no weapons. I have the greatest weapon of all, Sarah replied, already moving to a new position. I have intelligence. The duel continued for nearly an hour. Sarah couldn't match Vexthak's raw power, but she didn't need to. She used the environment, physics, and her understanding of leverage to turn his own strength against him. When he charged, she led him into patches of loose sand that slowed his movement. When he tried to corner her, she used her sling to create distractions and openings. Most importantly, she adapted. Each time Vexthak learned from her tactics, she developed new ones. She studied his movement patterns, identified his tells, and exploited his growing frustration. Humans might not have claws or fangs, but they had something far more dangerous: the ability to learn, adapt, and overcome any challenge through sheer stubborn intelligence. By the end of the hour, Vexthak was bleeding from a dozen small wounds, while Sarah bore only minor scratches. The pack leader's breathing was labored, his movement sluggish, while the human seemed to grow more confident with each passing moment. "Enough," Vexthak finally roared, dropping to one knee in submission. "I yield to the superior predator." The other hunters stood in stunned silence as their pack leader, undefeated in over 100 trials, acknowledged defeat to a soft-skinned human with no natural weapons. Sarah approached slowly, her makeshift spear lowered but ready. "The trial is complete. I claim victory, but I don't claim your life. Among humans, strength is measured not by the ability to destroy, but by the wisdom to know when destruction is unnecessary." Vexthak looked up at her, his amber eyes filled with something entirely new: respect. "You fight like no creature we have ever encountered. How did you learn such tactics?" "Every human child learns to hunt," Sarah replied. "Not with claws or fangs, but with tools, intelligence, and determination. We are persistence predators. We may not be the fastest or strongest, but we never give up. We adapt, we overcome, and we survive." The pack leader slowly rose to his feet and performed the traditional gesture of respect, a complex movement that acknowledged Sarah as not just a worthy opponent, but as a superior predator in her own right. "The Confederacy will hear of this," he said solemnly. "Humans are not prey. They are hunters worthy of alliance." As Sarah watched the Cathara pack disappear into the crimson landscape, she smiled grimly. The diplomatic mission hadn't gone as planned. But sometimes the best negotiations happen not in conference rooms, but on fields of honor where respect was earned through deeds rather than words. The rescue beacon on her suit finally activated, signaling that help was on the way. Soon she would return to the stars, but she would carry with her the knowledge that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or technology. It was in their refusal to accept defeat, their ability to adapt to any challenge, and their determination to find a way forward no matter the odds. In the end, that was what made humans truly invincible.